All right, this is Coach McCarthy. This is going to finish up Unit 4 about credit. We talked about the importance of credit. You're going to need it for loans. It's really the main place where your credit is going to come into impact. We talked about how you can get your credit history, that there's the three big places: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. They all make the score just a little bit different. They all have a slightly different formula that they use. We talked about you can get one from each of them every 12 months, which means you can get technically three per year because you can get one from each one. And those are three main ones. We talked about being careful about your identity, who you're going to give your social security number out to, your birth date, your account numbers, that you need to be very careful with that information. I mean, someone can really mess up your life if they get a hold of that and can really mess up your credit. It takes a long time to get those things fixed. It can put you in a real bad scenario, in a real bad place. We talked about protecting against identity theft. Again, just be smart about your information. Be smart about who you're giving it out to. So for today, the last two things we're going to talk about, we're going to combine 4 and 5. So 4, demonstrate the wise use of credit, and 5, control your debt. All right, these kind of go hand in hand because if you're controlling your debt, you're using your credit wisely. And using your credit wisely is a big aspect of controlling your debt and what you have going on. So we're gonna click on our link here. Um, the main things that we're going to see here about using your credit wisely: create and stick to a budget. We've talked about that before. That way you're not going to spend money that you don't have. That's a big one. Number 2, borrow only what you can afford to pay back. That's a big aspect of loans and taking out that credit. If you're taking out, so the main things that you guys are probably going to see is taking out a lump sum, a loan for a car or for a house. So don't borrow what you can't afford to pay back. Don't take out a loan for an $80,000 automobile and you only make $8,000 a year. That's not going to be a good situation. You're going to have a hard time paying that back. The payments are going to be so high. Number 3, pay your bills on time. Try not to let those late fees add up, and try not to avoid paying those bills. Okay, they're going to add on late fees. They're going to send late notices. All that's going to go onto your credit. All right. And that's really not using it wisely. If you have the money, pay it off. Number 4, carry credit card balances responsibly. We talk about if you can pay it off every month, pay it off. There's no sense taking that interest rate and taking those fees that are going to come up. On top of that, that goes onto your credit that you were late one month. And then with your credit card, they're going to carry interest rates, in excess of 20 and 25%. So they're charging you a hefty penny. So if you can pay it off, pay it off. That's using your credit wisely. The next one, check your credit reports at least once each year. And we talked about that before. You can check it through a variety of ways. Like I said, I have Mint. It checks it almost all the time for me. I think I get an update notification every couple of weeks about my credit. So I know what's going on there, and I'm making sure that nobody's going to take my information and use my credit. And then number 6, take advantages of technology and tools to avoid credit pitfalls. So again, use technology to your advantage, the identity theft, all those things you can put on your phone to make sure people aren't getting onto your phone. And we talked about it. There's more than one way that someone can get your information. They can hack your phone via Wi-Fi. Again, this is not a technology class, so we're not going to talk about that. But yes, they can steal your information. So be careful with your information and be careful who you're putting it out there to. So looking through our search, we have this money rates, wise use of credit for beginners, and I think that's what most of us are going to be. So we're going to be beginning to use it. So start building a positive credit history. Again, you don't want to have negative stuff on there. So trying to get those credit cards, don't apply for 15 credit cards. You don't need that many. All right, maybe one, maybe two at most is probably. Compare rates when you're looking at credit. Make sure you're getting a good rate. Don't jump at every offer. Again, not just because they're offering you a credit card doesn't mean it's a good scenario or a good situation. Make sure you have a budget. We talked about that one before. And this one, money to savings. We talked about savings account a little bit, but be smart about your money. Okay. Have a savings account. That's a good thing. Set up a bill paying routine. I like this one. I think this is a good one, that I'm paying my electric bill every whatever. I try and take one day out of the month and make sure I've paid all my bills, pay them all at once. That way I know I'm not behind on one or the other. As you grow up, you're going to get bills for this credit card, bill for this utility, bill for this, bill for that. Got to have some method that you use to keep all those on the same, not necessarily on the same day, but on the same page, that I'm paying them every month. All right. Don't get behind on paying your bills. Minimum payment equals maximum cost. Exactly. We've talked about that. Do not pay the minimum because they're going to charge a very, very high interest rate. All right, and it's going to be bad. You're going to pay a lot of money with that. Carrying a balance means it's time to rein in spending. Probably true. If you're carrying a balance, you need to pull your spending back a little bit. You're not paying off your debts. All right, try and pay off your debts monthly. So coming back to our website here, one of the big things that you guys are going to get is going to be credit cards. All right, so just please be careful with credit cards. Again, don't take out 20 credit cards. You don't need that many. You might only need one. And maybe you don't need a credit card because you have a debit card with your bank. And that can be good because you don't get in trouble where you're taking out money you don't have. So again, be careful with credit. It can get you in trouble, and control your debt. All right. Don't let it get out of control. We talked about paying things monthly, and in a bigger, grander scheme, pay your debt when it falls due. All right. You get a bill from the doctor, pay it if you can. All right. Don't let it sit around, especially with your credit cards. You get a bill from them monthly, pay that monthly, pay your utilities monthly, pay your car monthly. Most things that you're going to pay are going to be monthly things. Pay them when you can. Don't get in a situation where you're carrying that balance.